Ever get that feeling like, whoa, everyone's just winging it these days, making things up as they go?
Yeah.
Well, buckle up, because that's the world we're stepping into today with the Book of Judges.
Definitely a time of, shall we say, creative interpretations of faith and leadership.
You said it. And the story of Micah and the Danites. Talk about a wild ride. Family drama, do-it-yourself religion, and some, let's just say, questionable choices. You're all there.
And it really highlights what happens when a society is kind of, well, lost its moral compass. No king, no central authority, just everyone doing what they think is best.
Which, spoiler alert, doesn't always work out so well.
Right.
So we're talking about this time, and this is important when it feels like everyone's just making up the rules as they go along.
Right, exactly.
And Micah's story is a perfect example.
Oh, yeah.
Now, keep in mind, he's not some hardened criminal. He's just a guy living his life when, bam, a family squabble kicks off this whole crazy chain of events.
And it's such a relatable conflict, too. I mean, who hasn't had a bit of family drama?
Oh, for sure. So picture this. Micah's mother is livid. Someone swiped 1,100 shekels of silver.
1,100? That's like a serious chunk of change.
No kidding. Back then, that was a fortune. And she's so furious, she puts a curse on the thief.
Wow, talk about high stakes.
Right. Can you imagine the tension in that house?
Thick with it. And it's more than just the money. That silver probably represented their family's security, their stability in a world that felt anything beauty stable,
Which makes what happens next even wilder, Micah confesses. He's the one who took it.
Oh, he cracked.
He did. But he claims he had good intentions. Of course he did.
Right. So what's his plan? I'm on the edge of my seat here.
Well, his mother, maybe just relieved to have the silver back, decides to dedicate it to the Lord. Tells Micah to use it to make a carved image.
Okay, that's interesting.
And here's where things take a turn for the unexpected. Micah doesn't just make a statue. He goes all O-U-T. Builds a whole shrine in his house.
Whoa.
Complete with an ephod that's a priestly garment, for those who aren't familiar, household gods, the whole shebang. He even appoints his own obedient son as the priest.
It's like he's starting his own personal religion right there in his living room.
It's DIY religion at its finest. But wait, there's more. He somehow convinces a Levite, and, that's the guy from the priestly tribe, to come work for him.
Now, that is a big deal. It's like he's trying to give his homemade religion that official stamp of approval. What do you think was going through his mind? Was he really that devout, or was there something else motivating him? Power, maybe?
Maybe a little of both.
Right. It's hard to say for sure.
It really makes you wonder, though.
It does.
So Micah's there, feeling pretty good about himself. Thinks he's figured out this whole blessed life thing.
A shrine, his Levite.
The whole 9 yards.
Living the dream.
Right. But meanwhile, another group enters the scene, the Danites.
And let's just say, things aren't exactly going their way.
Not even close.
They're stuck between a rock and a hard place, literally. Hostile neighbors, no land of their own.
Talk about feeling the pressure.
The text actually uses the word hemmed in to describe their situation.
Hemmed in.
Yeah. It really emphasizes how trapped they felt.
Totally. Like desperate times, right?
Desperate times, indeed. And that desperation, it kind of explains their next move. They send out 5 scouts to scope out some new territory, find a place to finally settle down.
And where do these scouts end up?
Oh, you know where this is going.
Of all the places.
Right at Micah's doorstep.
What are the chances?
It's like they stumbled onto a hidden oasis in the middle of, well, nowhere.
Except this oasis has a shrine and a resident Levite.
And a whole lot of drama just waiting to happen. But here's the thing. They recognized the Levite's voice. Remember we talked about how the Danites had encountered him before?
Oh, yeah.
Makes you wonder, was this chance encounter really just chance? Or was there something, well, more going on?
Like maybe a little divine intervention?
Maybe. Or maybe not. We'll leave that up to you to decide.
Okay, but here's where it gets even more interesting. Before continuing their journey, the Danites, they asked the Levite to inquire of God for them.
Interesting.
Right. They're like, hey, we're on a mission here to find a new home. Think God's on board with this plan.
So they're seeking guidance.
They are, but as we'll see, they're not exactly committed to following it.
Yeah, this isn't exactly a thy will be done situation, is it?
Not so much. It's more like, tell us what we want to hear.
Exactly. But anyway, the scouts, they eventually reach this place called Lachish.
Lachish. Tell us about it.
Well, imagine a peaceful, prosperous city, totally oblivious to the danger that's heading their way.
Because
Because they're about to get a taste of their own medicine. Remember how Micah was just hanging out thinking he had it all figured out?
Yep.
It's almost like this whole scenario is repeating itself. History doesn't repeat itself, but it often rhymes.
Right. So the Danites, seeing this prime real estate, they decide they want it.
Of course they do.
Who wouldn't?
Exactly. But before they go full-on conquest mode, they make a little pit stop.
And I think we both know where they're headed.
Oh, yeah. Back to Micah's place, like a bad penny.
Only this penny comes with 600 armed warriors.
Can you imagine the audacity? They show up with this huge force and try to justify stealing his religious artifacts.
Borrowing.
Right, borrowing.
Yeah.
Telling the Levite he's getting a promotion.
A promotion.
Hey, want to lead a whole tribe instead of this one guy? Talk about adding insult to injury.
It's unbelievable. And the Levite, what does he do?
Well, he goes with them.
No way. He just abandons Micah.
He does. Micah tries to stop them, but let's be real. 600 against 1.
Those are some bad odds.
And with that, the Danites, they take what they want, the idol, the ephod, and head back to Laish for what's sure to be a warm welcome.
So the Danites, they've got their loot, their stolen goods, and they're headed back to Laish. Not exactly a friendly visit.
Not even close. What happens next is, well, it's pretty brutal.
Understatement of the century. They attack Laish, and, they don't hold back.
Nope, it's a full-on assault. The text says they put the entire city to the sword.
And then to add insult to injury, they burn the place to the ground. Talk about making a statement.
Yeah, a statement about, well, about the kind of ruthlessness that was too common back then.
Right. Like might makes right was the name of the game. And with Laish in ruins, they rename it Dan.
Their own personal victory trophy, you could say. And what's the centerpiece of this new city, this new tribe?
Oh, you know it. Micah's idol.
The ultimate power move, right? Steal a god, conquer a city, start your own religion.
Bold move. But it gets even wilder when you realize who they appoint as priest.
Oh, yeah. This is where it gets really interesting. So they put a descendant of Moses in charge of the sanctuary.
A descendant of Moses. Talk about irony. Here's the guy who received the law from God on Mount Sinai, and now his own descendant is leading a tribe that's built on stolen religious artifacts.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? About the legacy of faith, how easily good intentions can get twisted over time. But here's the thing that really gets me. The story makes it clear that the house of God at Shiloh, it was still active during this time.
Meaning, it's not like Micah and the Danites were completely cut off from a more, shall we say, official form of worship.
Exactly. They made a choice. They chose to do things their own way.
And it makes you wonder, what if they could see where that choice would lead? Would they have done things differently?
It's a question that still resonates today, don't you think? I mean, we look back at these stories, and it's easy to judge, right? We see the mistakes, the bad decisions.
But aren't we still wrestling with those same temptations? That desire for power, for security, for doing things our own way?
Absolutely. And that's what makes these stories so timeless. They hold up a mirror showing us the best and, let's face it, the worst of humanity.
It's a sobering thought. But maybe, just maybe, there's hope in that reflection. Because if we can learn from the mistakes of the past, maybe, just maybe, we can chart a different course for the future.
I like the way you think.
We're thrilled to introduce a new book presenting 3 new Old Earth theories that provide a clear and logical narrative that harmonizes the biblical account with scientific understanding. Unlike other Genesis theories, these unique theories connect biblical events to real-world occurrences, making them more relatable and meaningful. Find out how in this new book, available on Amazon.com now. On Amazon, search for